Hey everybody, sorry I'm just getting situated over here. Give me 1 second, make sure all my materials are here. Okay, here begins. Sorry guys, on the iPad, different than doing it normally on my phone. So I'm a bit new to this. Okay, I think we are good to go. All right, I think we're good to go. All right. So I don't know where the comment box is. Let's see, can you guys hear me okay? I'm trying to find out how I can make sure you all can hear me all right before we get started. Let's see. Are we live? Yes. Okay, here we go. All right, can you guys hear me okay? Let's see. I don't think my AirPods are working. Can you guys hear me okay? Oh, you can. There it is. Okay. Sorry, technical difficulties. Ready to go. Here we go. All right, everyone. So welcome to the Port Discovery DIY satellite building. My name is Kenny Harris. I currently work with NASA Goddard Space Flight Center to build real satellites, and I'm excited to join you guys today and build kind of this mock-up satellite. Again, this activity is for our younger STEM our younger STEM students. So there won't be any electronics, there won't be any robotics components, there won't be any difficult concepts to grasp or things like that. It's straightforward. It's just building a mock-up satellite with just stuff you have around the house. So I just grabbed this Amazon box that came in today. I'm going to use this. We've got some foil, just take a few sheets off that. Scissors, some construction paper here, a pencil, a few toothpicks. Something that I didn't put in the instructions that I think you should have if you don't have the right glue. I have craft glue here, so this is a little bit, tacky glue. This is a little bit better than the Elmer's normal glue. If you don't have this, I recommend just getting some tape, to help hold it together. Painter's tape is fine. It's just, I grabbed the closest thing I had. And last thing is, I also have one of these big sticks that you use for s'mores and things like that, and in addition to the small toothpicks that I have. So again, if you don't have these, perfectly all right. But I do have one of these in case you want to use it as a stand to basically display your mock-up satellite when you're done. All right, so for the parents, guardians, aunties, uncles, grandmas, grandpas, I need your help in this. I'm really going to be walking it through for the sake of the students and the little ones, but I'm really going to need your help having them assemble it on their side. Again, it's a really, really quick activity. And I hope you guys enjoy it and have some fun. So again, first off, my name is Kenny Harris. I work currently with NASA to help build these large scale satellites. So again, we're just gonna make this mock-up satellite. Shouldn't take too long. So let's get right into it. First thing you'll need, your Amazon box. You actually only need 2 seconds of this. I mean, some people just see an Amazon box. I see 7 little satellites that we can build actually with this. So what you're gonna do is you are going to take this portion here, just one of the longer pieces of the flap that opens. We're just gonna cut that off. And if at any point you're going too fast or you might have a question in the comments, feel free to comment, say, hey, slow down, I didn't get that part, or just, ask a general question. Here to help, here to answer any of your questions. I'm hoping that you guys have a little bit of fun with this. You can recreate it anytime that you want with a number of other things around the house. I've done ones with water bottles before. I've done ones that are much larger scale, but for this, we're gonna make one that's about that can fit in your hands, for example. It'll be almost like a cube set size, which is why we're using this long piece here. All right, so in addition to this long piece, you'll also need one of the shorter, they're still rectangular, but one of the shorter pieces. So if you compare them, just this flap here, we'll cut that one off too. Okay, so the cool thing, and I'm gonna talk through this how we do it. The cool thing about satellites is actually that they're used for a number of reasons, not just to do cool things like Facebook Live with you guys today, or to even make phone calls to relatives that are in other parts of the country or other parts of the world. We use them to tell us what the weather will be. We use them to monitor how whales migrate. We use them to monitor different parts of the environment and things like that. So it's a really vast amount of things that you can do with it. So when we're building this satellite, and what I like to do with the kids when I'm actually in the classroom is create basically a story for what the satellite will actually do. My satellite in particular, I think it will be used to track sea turtles. I really love aquatic life, so I'm going to build a satellite that has a nice little dish at the bottom of it that can point toward Earth and monitor where these sea turtles are migrating. Like I said, I got a passion for sea turtles, so let's make it fun. Let's make it about sea turtles. Again, in the comments, you can let me know what's the purpose of your satellite. What are you building your satellite for? Is it for sea turtles? Is it for koalas? Is it to make calls to different planets? It can be really anything, a number of things. So you're gonna take this long piece here. I'm sure everyone's got it cut by now. You're gonna take this long piece. You're going to fold it into 4s, or into 4s across the bottom. So like this. 1, 2. So into 4s, but you're gonna fold it 3 times. So when you unfold it, looks like that basically. So you can put 1, 2, and 3. There you go. That's the first part there. Once you have that all situated, you're going to basically make a box. So fold on the sides like this, connect it up top. It's okay if it's a little crooked. If you folded it a little wrong, a little long on one side, that's fine. Just connect it. I'm gonna put a little bit of glue here and then hold it shut. Mine's a little long, so I'm gonna cut a little bit off the end here. Cut a little bit off the end there, so that's a little more even for me. All right. I'm gonna take some of our glue here. Glue on both sides to get a good bond. I'm just gonna stick it together like that. Now it might take a few seconds to actually stick, but what you can do, again, if you have tape, what you can do is just take, oh, mine popped open. What you can do is take a little bit of tape, which will hold it together while it's actually gluing. And I don't think I put enough glue on this, but for the sake of this demonstration, I will use some tape to hold it together. So let's just put some tape on it like so. And again, it's okay if you didn't fold it 100% evenly. It's perfectly all right. Because, and something that we actually do at NASA, and it's a lot more robust. It's a lot more detailed. That what we do is we wrap it in what's called a thermal blanket anyway. So all this on the outside that you see, you won't be able to see it once we wrap it up in its thermal blanket. All right, so once you have your square or some weird shape, kind of like mine is this weird shape, you're gonna take that other piece that you have, place it on it like so, and you're gonna draw whatever shape is on this side. So you're gonna trace this and then cut that shape out. Just make sure you have that shape. Cut this shape out, and all we're doing right now is we're actually building. And for this demonstration, we're actually going to build the satellite in 3 parts. This one here, the first part is called the bus. So it's a bus, just like a school bus that you might ride to school on every day. It's just like that. It's a bus, but it's not. It doesn't transport you to school. Instead, it's like the main housing component for all the satellites. So where all your important stuff lives, usually you'll have your instruments in here. So all your computers and stuff will be housed in the bus or slightly off the back of it. So once you have that shape like so, you're going to put some glue on it, glue it to the back. Again, if you don't have the best glue, use some tape, just tape it on there. I think for this one, I actually made it a little bigger, so I might have to go back to my original cardboard box and cut off another flap. All right, let's see what we got here. Put a good amount of glue on here. I'm also gonna get my tape ready so I can just tape it on there when it's all done. And again, the tape is just to really hold it in place so that you get a good bond later. And the tape will be covered up so you won't even see it. Alrighty, so let's see. Alright, so you're gonna put the tape like so. Oops, see, the glue wasn't all the way on, so press that down. Put some more tape there. Should be good to go. Now you got every side except this one. So you're gonna do the exact same thing. I'm going to go back to this original box, and I'm actually gonna cut off this flap on this side, and then I'll make this side as well. See, it's hard to do stuff like this virtually, because usually you'll be able to walk around, see how you all are doing, help you out with it, answer any questions you might have, but it doesn't take the fun out of what we're doing right now. This is one of those easy projects that you can do. You can recreate it. There's a number of things on YouTube that let you build it however you want. So the best thing, the best thing that you can do is use your imagination to really make whatever you want. Let's see. All right, so on this other side. And let me know how you guys are doing in the comments. You say, again, you're going too fast, let me know. You need me to explain anything else, let me know. And we'll go from there. Let's see. And at the end, if anyone wants to show me their satellite, I think we can go live with you to show me your satellite to see what it looks like, what you plan on, what's your imagination working in terms of what you're going to do with it. I think we can do that. I guess Port Discovery will give me the thumbs up or thumbs down with that, and we'll go from there. So again, got this side, we'll tape that on, we'll glue it on, and then hold it on with some tape. Now I'm really getting nervous about the glue, so I'm putting a ton of glue on this thing to make sure it doesn't, fall off before I tape it on. Okay, tape. And oh, another fun fact: we actually do, when we're assembling satellites. Oh, I guess not. Well, when we're assembling satellites, we actually use tape. It's a special kind of tape. It's called Kapton tape, but we actually do, funny enough, use tape. And I didn't think about that until just now. Oh, well, I broke that. Oh, no, it still works. Okay, here we go. Thought I broke it. We're good. So it's not the special Kapton tape that's thermal resistance or anything like that, but painter's tape works just fine. All right, so we've got a satellite here. It's okay if it's not perfectly square. You see mine kind of slopes up on the side a little bit. So you got satellite here. It's a rectangle of some sort, I suppose. So what you want to do next is we're going to put the thermal blanket around our satellite, and that will be your aluminum foil. So what you're gonna do is grab your aluminum foil. I should have got a bigger table. So we're gonna take your aluminum foil, and what we're basically gonna do is wrap this whole thing up, and then we're going to, if you ever wrapped a present, or parents, if you ever wrapped a present, it's just like that. Take a sheet, roll it up as tight as you want, and then fold it in on each side. So something like, you can always get rid of the extra that you don't need. Again, this is going to be the prettiest satellite, but again, more time and other materials that you can order to make it a little prettier. But for now, I'm just gonna fold it up. All right, and so thermal blankets on actual satellites help to, in certain satellites, and for different reasons, certain satellites, they help to regulate temperature of instruments that are actually inside, while also reflecting the sun away from the satellite or delicate instruments on board, because as you know, the sun is extremely hot, specifically when you get out of the Earth's atmosphere, and it can damage our instruments and things like that. So we need to have this protective layer on it in order for it to not be damaged. So wrap this up nicely here, just on that lip, and put some glue right there so that it sticks. And then on the sides, I'll cut off and or fold what I don't need. And because I'm not really too pressed to have it super pretty, I'm just gonna kind of crinkle it, fold it a bit on each side, roll it down if it's not too much. And if you actually look up pictures of NASA satellites, you'll see they kind of just look like this. There's actually a much more calculated way that we go about saying how much excess blanketing that we need, but for these purposes, it'll just be kind of folded here. And this particular instrument will be extra secure and safe from the sun's radiation. All right, So this is going to be, I don't like how I folded that. All right, now I do. This is going to be your satellite space bus. Just basically a box wrapped in foil. So we've got this, got your space bus. The next thing that you're gonna do, and in the longer one, we would also do like an instrument suite that would either go right here on the back, which would be another box wrapped in foil, or right here on the top, totally up to you. But for today's purposes, just gonna do this. We'll just assume that the instruments are inside, so it can do everything it needs to from the inside. All right, next thing we're gonna do is how do we power the satellite in orbit? So how we basically power in orbit are by using, by solar panels. Solar panels. So what we're gonna do now is create 2 solar panels for our satellite. All right, so going back to your original Amazon box, what do I want to do? I have a little piece in here, but I think I'll do it this way. Now, I'm gonna cut off this one. Cut off this last flap on the top here. And we'll cut that off. Cut this up. Right, like that. So your box shouldn't have a top anymore. Put all the stuff you don't need back in there. I'm going to cut this in half. Doesn't have to be exactly in half. Let's cut it in half, and kind of based on how long you want them to be. So this one for me is a bit too wide. So I'm going to fold it in half. See what it looks like here. If you think something like this is a good size, you just cut it in half. It's a bit long for a solar panel, but it gets the job done. So we'll cut that in half like that. And same thing on the other side, or you can just use the other half of this. Totally up to you. I'm just gonna have a backup in case one of them isn't to my liking. So fold this again and cut in half. All right, so now you've got 2 or 4 solar panels, depending how you cut it. It's up to you. If you want to mount your panels this way, you can. So it looks kind of like this when you're done. Or if you want to mount them this way, you can mount them this way when it's done, so it looks more of the vertical field. It's totally up to you. I'm going to mount mine this way. Yeah, I'm going to mount mine this way. All right. So the next step, what you're going to do is you're actually going to, let's actually make the paneling. So now that you've got your solar panels, grab one piece of your construction paper. I just chose a nice green color because that's what I wanted to go with for today. All right, so you're going to take your cut down, fold it in half. Fold it in half. I'm gonna fold it in half again. Then I'm going to unfold that, cut it down the middle. And again, for disclaimer, I've only done this specific satellite twice. The other ones that are a little more in depth, I've done those 2 times. But these are super easy to put together. Sorry, I just cut and started going. You cut, and you take it again, you fold it in half, and then you're gonna fold it again long ways like so. So it looks like that. And then we're gonna cut it one more time down the middle. Alright, and then same thing, one more time, just fold it again. Trying to get them as small as possible. And again, one more time. And I cut it as I go because it makes it a little easier to line the lines up, but you don't have to fold it this many times if you don't want to. And then cut it down the middle. What you're gonna end with are two squares like this. And the idea is to then, out of these squares,
cut this one down the middle long ways, and then cut the other one down the middle horizontal. Same thing for each side. What you're going for are these smallish rectangle squares. Where's the camera? Rectangle squares like this. So what you're gonna do, once you have, you can have probably 20 of them. 20 of them is fine to have, even if they are folded over themselves like this, and they actually, so some of mine look like this, and you can open them up kind of like a book, but you can keep it like this and just glue it together. So what you're gonna do is, with your solar panel, you're gonna take them and just glue them along the panel all the way up on both sides. I usually put just 5 on each side, and that'll be your solar panel. And we'll go on to the next step after that. I know this step's a little much, just because you're putting all these really small squares onto your satellite. But let's get this done. So once you have all of your little paneling together, and like I said, I do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You can usually do 10, maybe 8. I'll do 10 on each panel. Once you have all 10 on each panel, just little squares, and glue them on there. So the purpose behind solar paneling is to power your sensors, your radars, your motors on the satellite. Some satellites have, most satellites have batteries on them that are charged via their solar panels. So because there's an abundance of sun in space near Earth's orbit, specifically when the Earth or Moon or other planets aren't, well, the Earth is not blocking it, we basically utilize this power to keep the satellite functioning in terms of electronic components. In the future, we hope to do a lot more with it, but right now, these are the main purposes for it. And you'll see almost every satellite that goes up, with the exception of CubeSats have it too. But these long solar panels on the side are a very common thing for all satellites. The International Space Station has them. Hubble has them. JPSS, the Joint Polar Satellite System, has them, which is the satellite that helps tell us about the weather, or one of the satellites that tell us about the weather. GPM has it. A bunch of other ones. At this point, I'm just saying acronyms to you guys, but a bunch of satellites have them, and they're very commonplace. All right, so I don't know about you guys, but I am almost done with my solar paneling over here. I actually only got, oh no, I can get 10. I can get 10 on this one. I thought I would only get 8. Sometimes when I cut the squares too big, I only get 8. But again, this is a really quick version of the satellite. See, mine looks a little funky, but something like that. Just gonna go right there on the side. The other ones that we do are typically like longer and more symmetric, but again, for these purposes, perfectly all right. All right. So you got to do both of your solar panels. All right. And I promise you guys, this is actually the part that takes the longest, just doing the solar panels. Just because you have to cut out each one of these little squares individually. This is what takes the longest part. The rest of it, really easy. We can go through it really quick. So, I guess I can talk about 2, 4, 5, 2, 4, 1 more. So, what I do, or what I used to do at Goddard when I was integrating satellites, is I used to work in the clean room. So that full bunny suit, when all you can see is kind of like their eyes. I used to work in that environment. I worked on the James Webb Space Telescope, which is the follow-up to Hubble. So it's hopefully going to help answer a lot of questions we have about the solar system as a whole. We essentially built a time machine, which will allow us to see back to events as far back as the Big Bang.
So our hope is that by understanding those events, we can understand other events that have happened in the galaxy. So the fun thing about building satellites, and it's a lot more time consuming than this cardboard satellite, is that it's one of the best experiences I had. I always like to tell people that if you can build IKEA furniture, then you can build a satellite. There's literally step-by-step instructions that we have to follow. I mean, we definitely talk about it for months in advance before we get to integration phase, but by then it's literally steps that you follow in order to assemble this satellite. And I don't mean to make it sound so easy, but it is relatively straightforward. It is some of the most fun I've ever had along my career here at NASA. And integration is just a really, really cool thing that NASA offers. So for anyone out there that wants to work at NASA someday, or that does currently work at NASA, you know it's a fun experience. I wouldn't trade it for the world. But for anyone that wants to potentially work at NASA one day, I encourage you to continue to do your math, your sciences, even your English and your histories. Do well in all your courses. And then when you're not in school, make sure you pursue internships and things like that can help give you those experiences that you need in advance before you graduate high school or college or whatever degree you decide to pursue. Okay, I don't know if you guys are done, but I've got 2 solar panels here ready to go. Alrighty, so we'll move on to the next step. So back to your space bus. So solar panels are going to go on each side. They can either go A here like this or B like this up to you. Since it's not launching into space, if it was launching into space, we'd have to do it one particular way. Well, not one particular way, but it wouldn't be a choice. All right, so what you're going to do now is on the side, can't see it, but on the side, it should be a little lip that you can take one of your toothpicks and basically poke into, just kind of poke a hole there like that. And then take it back out. And what you're gonna do is flip the toothpick over so that the non-pointy side goes into your solar panel like that. And you do that twice. And then one on the other side here. Poke a hole there. And take it back out. Flip it over and stick it in like that. All right, they should be about even when you're done. Just like that. Put that there. And do it one more time. So get 2 more toothpicks, other solar panel. And we're going to poke one side, like so. Flip it, flip it out, and poke it again. Now, for those that understand, not all cardboard might not have lips like this. If they don't, you can take this one out. Right on the bottom of your cardboard, you just put it there and you can glue it, or you can tape it on the bottom like that so that it holds in place. As long as you just have 2 toothpicks pointed out on your satellite, you should be fine. So when you're done, you should have 2 solar panels like this and a spacecraft bus here. All right, so now we're going to put, so again, there's 3 components, 3 pieces of the satellite we're talking about today. Spacecraft bus is one. Solar panels are the second one. Once we assemble solar array panels, then we will go to the third and final step of this satellite. All right, so solar panels, take a spacecraft bus. Pick a side, left or right, up to you. And you're going to, with the solar panels facing up or down or forward or backwards, up to you. You're just going to poke them into the side of your satellite. And be kind of careful not to collapse the satellite when you do it. Since it is made of cardboard, it is pretty fragile. So you might need to poke one hole. You might need to poke the holes with the toothpicks before you stick it all the way in. Let's see. For me, mine seems to be going in pretty easy. There we go. But I know sometimes it's a bit more difficult. So it should look kind of like that when you're done. When you're done with one side, it should look kind of like that.
again, this is this is such a quick version of a satellite that I kind of want to do this with you guys again when we have more stuff, so we can build really nice ones. We can build ones that deploy. We can build ones that have robotic limbs on them. There's even competitions that do things like this. If your son or daughter or your child is really into it, there are things like that out there. I know different programs, depending where you are, have a lot of activities and things like that they can do. So when you're done, it should look something like this. This is my satellite so far. All right, so we've got our spacecraft bus. We've got our solar array panel. We got our spacecraft bus, which holds all our instruments and our important information, our computers and things like that. Wrap that up in the blanket so that the sun can't damage it. Then we put on our solar array panels here with the solar rays pointed whichever direction you want. This is so that it can basically harness the power of the sun and power some of its motors and its sensors and things like that necessary on the spacecraft, as well as like batteries and stuff it has. Finally, what we're going to do is build an antenna for it. For me, I think I want to build an antenna that can swivel. Sometimes people just put the antenna like right here at the top, maybe be pointed up, be right here on the front, be pointed out. I think for me, I'm going to put mine on the bottom so that it can actually swivel back and forth. But let's see how that works, because I haven't done that one before. So let's see how that works. So we'll take, for this, let's start with the actual dish of the satellite. So with that other sheet of construction paper, we'll get a new one. Let's get a new sheet of construction paper. And for this, we'll have to freehand. We'll have to freehand a dish. Let me see. Let's see if my pencil. What are my pencils looking? Let me see. All right. So for this, we'll freehand it instead of typically use like a protractor or something like that, but we will freehand it. So piece of construction paper, what you're going to do is you're going to draw the letter C. Before we do that, keep in mind that the dish should only be about round, this round. Like just do okay with your finger and it should be about that round. So we're going to draw a C. That's a terrible C. We're going to draw a C. Don't look at my C. I'm going to draw a C. I'm actually going to redraw that because this table's not flat. Let me see. Get something to draw. I'll draw on my laptop. Okay. So we're going to draw a C again. It's one of the worst C's I've ever drawn. All right, so first C. Then we're going to draw a bigger C on the outside of it. Like so. So you end with something like the glare on the paper, like this. Okay. What you're going to do is cut out all this section that I just shaded in. So cut out that's here. So basically cut out the bottom part here, and then the top part is what we're going to use. So I'll give you an example since there's a glare on my screen. All right. And while we cut this, the purpose of your antenna is several things. When you have an antenna on a satellite, its main purpose is to get the data back to Earth. Since we're not physically, well, we are physically able, but since we don't go up to the satellite to actually get the data off of it, what we do is we have satellites that download the data to different ground stations around the Earth, and that helps us to get the data from the satellite for whatever purpose the satellite is up there for. So for example, when you send a text message, that involves ground stations. Text is a bad idea. A bad example. When you use GPS, when you're trying to find out where you're going, GPS uses stuff like that. So the data will come from the satellite to the ground station via
your dish. So once you have your little rainbow kind of cut out here, you're going to, on one side of it, you're just going to draw a horizontal line. Just on one side of it. So right here I draw a horizontal line. What you're going to do is going to fold it into kind of a ring like this. See, the horizontal line is here. You're just going to kind of fold into a ring so that it falls on top of that. And that is going to be your dish. We have to glue that. So put glue all under this section here, and we're going to stick it together. This, I might have made my dish too big, but it's okay. We'll find out. It's all a part of the fun of doing this, right? Okay. So here we go. Just gluing it together. So you have a little ring there. And there's a little satellite dish. Again, it's okay if it's uneven. We didn't use a protractor, so it's all right. It's all right if it's uneven. We're just sticking it there. All right, next, what you're gonna do is remember you cut out 4 solar panels. On the 2 you have left, on one of them, you're going to take your dish, put it on there like that, and you're gonna trace that circle on the inside and then cut the circle out. All right, so we're gonna cut this out, and this will be the base for your satellite. So once you cut it out, get rid of that. Don't need it. Just a little circle. It's gonna go right in here like so. But obviously you're gonna have to glue it. This is more like a fit check. So I just kind of squeezed it in the bottom there to make sure it fits. And then what I'm going to do is put glue around the rim of it there, and then slide right there. It should be good to go. And if it's a little too small, for example, you can just kind of unglue the part you did and just tighten it around the sphere, not the sphere, the circle. Again, that's for my parents who are helping out my future engineers over there. All right, so let's see. Let's see if this works. Yeah, so for example, my dish is a little too big, so I'm going to reglue the top part of my dish so that's a little closer together. By putting it a little bit closer together, it should fit better on the cutout. Okay. So now I'm going to, well, before I put this in there, and if you've already put them together, that's fine. I'm actually going to poke a hole through one of these toothpicks. Just poke a hole straight through it there. And then I'll glue it on there. Put the toothpick through it. And again, if you're coming in to this late, building a DIY mock-up satellite for our young engineers in training, it's meant for the younger ones who we don't want playing with electricity or like robotics, like advanced robotics and things like that. The satellite I'm building, we use to help monitor sea turtle migration. Like I said, I got I love sea turtles, I love aquatic life. So I'm going to build this satellite to monitor how they move and how they migrate and how global warming and things like that are affecting their habitats and their population numbers. Sorry, I'm trying to make sure this gets on there right. All right. Mine is on there. Again, it's not pretty, but it's on there. Okay, not pretty, but it's on there. There we go. All right, so that's your dish. So now for the last thing we're going to do is make this ribbon that I talked about. So if you didn't put the toothpick through already, make sure you put the toothpick through the actual hole of your the dish you have. Put it down. I felt a little bit. That's fine. All right. So last thing, we can make this a little better. Let's get a small piece of foil. It's gonna be really, really small. I don't know if you have any extra, but just a small piece of foil. I'm going to take a toothpick, take my spacecraft bus here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to poke through the bottom, but don't actually push in, just poke it, just to make a hole into the actual cardboard and not the, so once it's in there like that, just poke it and take it right back out. What I'm going to do now is rip off a small piece of foil, and this will help because we don't have robotics in it. This will help it swivel because foil is a good, foil conforms well. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this toothpick and wrap it in foil. Just gonna wrap it in some foil like this. It doesn't have to be a lot, just a little bit of foil. So that's completely covered, except for the end that you poked it with there. So wrap it up like so, little toothpick. And we're going to, on the toothpick that's pointing out of your out of your dish, you want to take another piece of small foil. Just rip a small piece of foil off. Make it that bigger, so take a small piece of foil off using the wrap toothpick. Put it in how do I define degrees here? Put it in about a 120, 110 degrees, like so. So instead of being straight up and down like this, you're just gonna angle it a little bit out, You're gonna take that foil and you're going to wrap it around this part where my fingers are. So it'll look something like this when it's done. The idea is just for it to be stationary. It doesn't have to stay at that 110, or it doesn't have to stay at that angle that we talked about. It just has to be, just has to be kind of sturdy. So that's the purpose of the foil. There is for it to be sturdy. Okay, so mine needs a little bit more foil for it to stay. Like I said, it doesn't have to be pretty. Doesn't have to be pretty to function properly. All right, so when you're done, it should look something like this. And what I'm going to do now is, with that hole I poked at the bottom of the spacecraft, just a little hole. Now on the toothpick that's wrapped in foil, the non-pointed side should be at the top. So what you're going to do is put that side into the hole at the bottom of the spacecraft, and you're going to push it up just a little bit, but not too far in there. Just like that, maybe into the foil
the foil on the toothpick connects with the foil at the bottom. And now you've got something like this guy here. Oh, wait. No, it fell out a little bit. All right, so you got, mine had to be pushed up a little further. So push mine up a little further. Now you're gonna have basically like this. Satellite's gonna be pointed down. As you see, mine's kind of falling a little bit. It's kind of starting to come unglued. But now you'll kind of have something that can do this action here if you were to turn it. So you can point it this way and leave it that way, or you can point it that way, kind of leave it like that. So when satellites are actually flying over the Earth, we can actually just kind of using like, it's not a video game controller, but think about it like that. We basically utilize a controller or a set of commands is what we call them, to basically say, okay, we want the satellite dish to point over there, and then we leave it there, or we want it to point there, and we'll leave it there. Sometimes we'll have the satellite rotate this way, rotate that way. So it's all about making it more realistic. So this is a DIY satellite. Again, it would be a lot better if we had, if it wasn't just stuff that you just got from randomly around your house. I'll answer that question 1 second, Marie. So we come around. We if we didn't have materials that were just kind of around the house, make one that's a lot better, maybe a lot bigger, a lot more sturdy. A lot of people use hot glue, but again, with the smaller kids, they didn't really want to use hot glue. Something else that you could do if you want to display this is remember that long toothpick that you sometimes use for s'mores or things like that. Take that, you just make another hole at the bottom there. You basically just stick the toothpick up until it reaches about that point, but on the inside, and on this base here, you can take that last piece, that last solar panel that you cut out, and that'll be the base. I won't do that just because I know I didn't include this in the original instructions, so not everyone has this readily available. But if you did want to have a means of kind of holding it up, you can do something like that. And another one I did that I built a while ago, I'm gonna put this guy down before he falls on me. And another one I did, a little smaller model, that I actually took the panels off of. This guy here, he's got a toothpick on him. So he had a base that I took off, but basically it just kind of stands up like so. If this is the base, it just kind of stands up. You can put it somewhere. If your kid made this for you, you can put it on your office desk. If you are an adult, you can put this on your office desk. It's up to you. It's totally your call. So question, we came a little late. Wants to try to make this, but we want to know what the purpose. So the purpose is purely fun, creativity. It's a DIY satellite. Again, I'm a NASA engineer that actually builds satellites like this for a living. It's just a really quick and dirty version of satellites that we build. Just giving examples for things that they can do just at home really quick. It's stuff that you just have around the house. We use the Amazon box, a piece of construction paper. I think this one has 6 toothpicks in it, some glue, and that's about it. Oh, foil. That's about it. So to recap real quick with you guys, because I know we're running out of time here. To recap, we have the spacecraft bus, which is the middle, which holds your instruments and all your important things, your computers, all the stuff that gives you the important data or compressed the important data that you need when it's on orbit. The 2 sides, you have your solar array panels here. This is how you power the satellite. You use the energy from the sun to power the satellite. It powers the things that are actually inside the spacecraft bus. The reason that it's wrapped in foil is because this simulates our blankets that we use at NASA. The blankets are actually thermal blankets. They help protect from the sun and other radiation and stuff that happens in the vacuum of space. They also in some way help with impacts that occur, so small asteroids and small rocks and things like that. And finally, the bottom, you have your communications, which is just your satellite dish, which we add this cool little swivel effect to. And its main means is to get the data from your instruments and your computers in the spacecraft bus back down to Earth so that we can then use them. You can have them on your phones, you can have them on your laptops, you have them on your iPad, for example. All of that
is a really quick, really easy way to keep your students, your kids involved, and hopefully really interested in the field of STEM, in the field of space in particular. Like I said, I hope I can do this with you guys again one day with some better some better equipment. But right now, in these times, I'm glad we could do it together with stuff that we just have around the house. So if there's no final questions from you guys, I'm going to sign off. But I'll give you guys a few minutes. If anyone has any questions, I'll just kind of hang out on you guys as you doing a lot of the live. We'll just call it a day. But thanks so much for joining us today. Thank you to Port Discovery. Thank you for having me today and being able to share my experience with the next generations of our amazing future engineers. So again, my name is Kenny Harris. If you have any questions for me, please reach out. I'll have Port Discovery. I'll work with Port Discovery to get my website and my email address if you have any questions. Hopefully this was a fun activity you guys can do, whether you're watching it later or whether you watched it live. Thank you so much for joining us today. But again, if you have questions, go and drop them in there. Or, I did say, if you did make one and you'd like to go live with us, I'd be more than happy to see it. But again, thanks so much for joining us today. I'm just gonna clean up and wait for any questions that might roll in as I clean up. But thanks so much, guys. Really appreciate it. Really had a good time. Let's see. I have so many toothpicks that I did not need. Like I said, I think I said 10. I think I didn't use 4 of them, but I brought like 14. I didn't need all these toothpicks. For whatever reason, I had a ton of toothpicks. Let's see. Alrighty. So Port Discovery, I think we might be good to go. What do you think? You just let me know in the comments section, and I can close it out. If there's nothing else you guys like me to do today for this live demonstration. Like I said, I had a ton of fun. Hope we can build another one of these one day soon. Tell him I said they can be really close or they can be really, really far. The closest one we have is in low Earth orbit, which we call Leo. And projects like James Webb, which is the last one I worked on, can be up to 2 million miles away. So satellites vary. We like to keep them close to Earth based on what they're doing, but we've got ones, like I said, at 2 million miles. We've got one that's near Saturn, that's gone past Saturn. So it's all about what's the purpose of the project. So really, really close or really, really, really far. Tell Isa I said hello. I'm sure she can see me. Hey Isa, how are you? I don't know if everyone else is there too, but I'll say hello specifically to Isa. I know she likes science. All right, guys, I'm all cleaned up now. So thanks so much for joining me today. And again, thank you again to Port Discovery. We'll post the whole video once we get off live. Thanks so much for joining me, guys. Have a great one. Bye-bye.